Oh, that's the thing. You get 20 minutes in and then you're like, crap, I forgot to record. That's not good. Well, I'll go ahead and get started. I'm so glad that you guys are all here. So excited. I worked so hard to like just get the word out there. And so you just never know how it's going to go. So I'm so pumped that you guys have signed up. And I know that I kind of changed the schedule around a little bit to accommodate everyone. It's hard when you've got a big group. It's like everybody's on a different time zone and all those things. But I tried to make it a little bit staggered. So maybe some people that can't make it one week can make it another week. But you guys have probably all seen the webinar, so you probably know all about me already. I don't want to take too much time talking to you about me, but I will just introduce myself quickly again. I'm Erica. I live in Indianapolis, Indiana, freelance writer, of course. Been writing professionally for like 15 years or so. And I went freelance about 3 or 4 years ago, which was a really actually, I kind of like lost my job and then I was staying home with my kids and I didn't know what to do. And so I just kind of started freelancing sort of on the side. And then I began to realize all the opportunity that was there. And that's when I really sort of launched into understanding this whole world of freelance writing and getting published and learning all the things that I want to teach you. So outside of that, I'm trying to think if there's anything else pertinent. My second book released 2 weeks ago, got it right here. So that's exciting. Totally different. Really, it's a different subject, but I'm also, just so you know, if you are a book person, if you're looking to write a book, I'm totally open to taking questions about nonfiction publishing and the Q&As and stuff. So that's just sort of another thing that I have some experience in. The other thing that I think sort of is helpful, that might be helpful here that you might not get from someone else, is my experience with social media. And so I've been working in social media strategy for most of my career, in addition to my communications stuff. So if you're looking to kind of beef up your social media strategy, or how do you integrate that with your writing, that's something I can also speak to. I personally just enjoy social media, so I have fun doing it. And I've also learned a lot in the past couple of years just about building email lists and all of that. I've got a class inside the course for Facebook ads even, and so we've got all kinds of stuff. A Twitter masterclass that is part of this course that you can take, 1 hour long Twitter masterclass for writers. So there's a lot of resources sort of across the board. But for those of us that are here today, this won't be like a super long meeting. I just wanted to, I know you guys are just now getting into Teachable, which, by the way, raise your hand if you could not get into Teachable. Oh, good. You guys all got in. Okay, because there's two people that like it's not showing up, and I'm very confused because I added you all the exact same way. So I'll figure them out separately, because I saw that some people had started watching the videos and I was like, okay, so it's not everybody. So that's good. I really don't love Teachable at this point in my life. And I'm thinking that after this, I might try to move to a different platform, which for everyone in the class, I would just sort of migrate your emails over to whatever platform so you still have access to all the materials, but it's just clunky. And it was just the first thing that I started with when I did this the first time. So I apologize if it is a little clunky, but I would love to just go around and have everyone say your name. I'm a big fan of icebreakers. I'm a big dork. I love icebreakers. So just humor me, but say your name, where you're from, and then maybe sort of give us an idea of where you are in your writing journey, and maybe a goal that you have, maybe a byline that you sort of envision for yourself. And, as you guys know, this is for like beginners and intermediate. So we're all over the board. So don't feel, weird about saying whatever. So I guess I'll just call on you as I see you. And I'm just going to start with you, Marina, because you were the first person I talked to.
I'm always happy to go first. I was the kid who would be like, oh, I'll go first and just get it over with.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marina. I live in Los Angeles, California, but I'm originally from Philadelphia area. I always feel like I need to tell that to people because I'm truly an East Coast at heart, East Coaster. So I've had like a circuitous route to my writing journey. I was trying to work in publishing on the desk side for a long time, and then lost my job during the pandemic and decided it was the right time to write my novel. So I wrote a novel and then got stuck, and switched over to, now I'm self-employed, trying to freelance write, coach writing, and freelance edit. My dream is to finally publish a novel or the novel I've been working on for 3 years. I'll take either. at this point. And I would love to write essays for bigger magazines like the New York Times or the New Yorker. And that's all I can think of that I remembered you asking me to tell.
Yeah. Okay. So it's only 9 a.m. where you are. Is that right?
Yeah, I need a second cup of coffee.
I'm always so weirded out by time zones. Okay. I can't ever wrap my head around it. Whenever I go overseas, I'm always, I'm constantly calculating what time it is back home because I just can't. I'm like, this is amazing. And then the other day, my son and I were like, what's like the farthest apart like time zones? And it's like some islands out like around Australia that's like one, and then it's like a
It's
20.
wild. You can have like a
It's
full
totally,
day.
yeah, it's totally crazy. And then I'm like, what about that marker, like going the other way? Like, what if you, I don't know. I think about weird things. Thank you, Marina. That's awesome. I have yet to write a novel, so you are a step ahead of me there. I love that. Okay, Kim, I'll call on you next.
Let me unmute. I have dogs somewhere in this house, so that could
So
be.
do I.
And I've got a grand dog right now. So I am Kim McGovern, and I live in Florida, which is not cold like most of you right now. So yay.
Yay for you.
Now I have spent 4 decades actually teaching the Bible, running businesses, and caring for my children with disabilities. So that's kind of, but landing, where did I end up going into writing? A few years ago, I got a nudge. And nobody's gonna like this story, but I actually wrote a piece the same day I submitted it, and it got published, an encouragement for today. So, and then I'm like, because it was kind of like a test, I was like, I don't know if everybody here is Christians or not, but I'm a Christian. And I said, okay, God, if you really want this, because this is insane, because I'm a speaker, I'm not like, I don't ever finish off anything. I don't fix the grammar. I don't do anything. You've got to be crazy. But now I've spent the last few years trying to figure that out as I've been playing with writing. But I'm here because what I want to do is exactly what you've convinced me I can do. And that is write for these publications that are my dream, which is things like, World and Christianity Today, and even New York Times. And I want to write at the intersection of faith and disability and tech. Those are my passions, and they cross over each other all the time. And I have opinions. So, and it's great to know. And I've always stood back and said, but I can't because I don't have the experience, or I don't have that resume. But I'm no longer convinced of that. I think if the story's right and the angle's good and it's needed, that there's a chance. But I'm going to say one thing that I got into the class thing. Okay. I already did some of it. I did a thing with Guidepost on this. And one of the things that one of the main editors there said is they have their most favorite writer that everybody loves that writes for Guidepost. She tried 35 pitches before they published the first one of hers. And I went,
oh my gosh.
Okay, so I've really got to get tough here and say,
yeah,
I have to throw a lot out there. So that's me in a nutshell.
It's hard, but it's that mentality of embracing rejection that really will get you somewhere. I definitely would have never gotten anywhere had I not sort of embraced it. And it's still hard. Like, I do take rejection hard. So there have been times when I've had to just be like, you know what, I'm going to like take a break for a second, because it can be mentally hard, but man, those times when it works out. Hey, stop. Get out of here. My animals just fight with each other. But I love, that makes me so happy to hear you say that, Kim, that you said like that I've convinced you that you can do, because I really believe it. I mean, it was really like a magical moment at one point where I was like, oh, wow. Like, I don't feel like people know that this is possible. And I want to tell them. So it's 100% possible. And I can say that simply because, it would have been, okay, maybe it worked for me once, right? It worked for me once. Well, it's worked for me a lot more than once. And again, I'm not famous. I have a bachelor's degree, but I don't, I'm not anybody special. And so that's really awesome to hear. So thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, Saffron. Am I saying your name right as well?
Yeah, well, it's Saffron, but I respond to both, so not a big deal.
Well, I'll try to say it right.
No worries. Yeah, so I'm Saffron. I'm from Idaho, but my husband and I live in Salt Lake City, Utah. And our new little baby. So if you see something in the background, yeah, he's
how old?
How old is he? 7 weeks? He's going into 8 weeks now.
Oh my gosh. Well, no wonder you don't know.
Yeah, it's like he's been around.
Oh my gosh, that's such a tiny little. I love it.
Yeah, he might appear briefly at one point or another.
Oh, please, we want him to appear.
Perfect. So he's new on the scene. I have a master's degree in anthropology, and so I would say that's like my biggest experience with writing is I had to write my thesis. And then I worked briefly, not briefly, but I worked in kind of the 9 to 5 life. And now, especially with having a baby, it's this isn't not for me. And I would like to exercise my research skills and just kind of like delve into what interests me more and just really build up my writing. And I would really love to be able to, I didn't realize it was really a thing to be able to publish your opinions. I think, Erica, you had mentioned that at one point. It's like, yes, you can get paid to have your opinions written. And I was like, oh, I never actually thought of that.
Mostly what I do.
Which is great. And I was like, oh, okay. So I could actually focus on, I really like in the intersection of faith and culture. That was part of my thesis in general. And yeah, just little odds and ends that always pique my interest. And it's like, okay, how could I market that to get actually published and paid for it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And anthropology experience, that's going to be something a lot of people don't have. So anything that touches on that, I think that's going to give you a huge leg up. And the thing is, I think we forget how many publications are out there. We think of all of the major ones that we see on a regular basis, but like there are so many niche publications that need writers. And that's one thing I've learned along the way. And those are great places to dive into. And I'm working on that, like sort of a master list. Like there is not going to be a complete master list because there's too many, but I am working on a master list of publications to consider that I'm going to get to you guys at some point in the next few weeks once I finish it. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. What is your baby's name?
His full name is Miloslav. It's Czech. And then we call him Milo for short.
That is adorable. Adorable. All babies welcome. All children welcome. I have 2. You might see them sometime. They're not here right now, thankfully. Okay, I'm going to let Morgan go next because she might have to jump off early.
Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you guys. So my story with writing, I learned that I liked it in high school, I would say. And then I was curious about pursuing it a little bit in college. And I ended up going to a smaller college where you could minor in journalism, but still be really active in the school paper. And so that's what I ended up doing. And I liked it a lot, but wasn't totally sure that I wanted to pursue it professionally. And when it came to my senior year and I was thinking about what kind of job I was going to get, I just didn't end up going that route. And then now I've been graduated since 2015, and I've been working in fields that are not related to journalism or really write. I mean, I've done some writing that's been kind of more marketing, but nothing that's really like scratched that itch, I guess. And so now after so much time away, I've decided that I would like to pursue it again. And I'm hoping that I can get a job or freelance, whatever happens, that would allow me to pursue writing full time. And I actually have freelanced a little bit, but it's always been for publications that I had some kind of connection to, like where somebody knew somebody, and then I was able to, talk with an editor. And then I haven't really had to pitch my own stuff. I just have written what I've been assigned. So anyway, I'm hoping that with this course, it'll help me gain a little more confidence when going into interviews and stuff, because it's hard to pitch myself to people when I've been away from it for so long. So anyway, that's me.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm so glad you joined us. I'm sorry, guys, if you can hear my dog, I don't know what to do with him. You should just ignore him. I'm like, I get self-conscious. Okay, thank you, Morgan, so much. Okay, I'm gonna do all the video people first, and then for those that are not on video, I'll go to you next. So Alicia.
Hello. My name's Alicia Rohr. I just got married. Morgan was actually in my wedding, so we've been friends for a long
Oh,
time.
fun.
Yeah, so I'm from Michigan. She lives in Michigan. I just moved to Ohio, to the Dayton area. Labor Day weekend is when we got married. Yeah, long story short, so I actually used to be a middle school English teacher, and left in 2019, like by God's grace before COVID unintentionally. So that was fabulous. But the reason why I left, I've always felt a calling to full-time ministry, specifically women's ministry. And so I enrolled in seminary at Moody Seminary in the summer of 2019 and took 2.5 years to do that. During COVID, I just graduated with my master's in biblical studies. And I've always loved writing. So my dream is to work in a church or parachurch organization as a women's ministry director in some form. But I love writing. I believe it's a great way to teach and reach a lot of people in a very accessible way. And so yeah, I started writing on a blog when I started school, just because it was a free way for me to practice that. So I've moved to Substack, which I really like. I'm trying to build an email list because it is a dream of mine to publish a book, a Christian nonfiction book. What exactly? I have a few ideas, but nothing that's good enough or feels fleshed out enough to like write a book proposal for. But that's a dream of mine. And then yeah, so my husband and I are also just working towards just some financial goals, Dave Ramsey style. So started freelancing. I just got my first 2 jobs through Upwork with 2 different ministries. So it's kind of exciting to be able to get paid for my writing for the first time a little bit in kind of some interesting, yeah, different kinds of ministries. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. And yeah, I mean, I would love to be published just, yeah, more publicly beyond my blog. So getting paid for it is an extra bonus. So I'm excited for this year to hopefully get more confidence in sharing my voice and my opinions. I have imposter syndrome a lot of like, why would I even try this? Or
Don't
like,
we
what are people
all?
thinking about me when I publish this? Like, oh, who does she think she is, kind of thing, which is silly because that's not true. And people who think that, I shouldn't care. So yeah, I'm really excited to grow this year.
Yeah, okay. I love all that. I am fascinated that you went to seminary. I think that's really cool at Moody. That is amazing. So I'm sure you've got all kinds of different, like just a variety of thoughts that cross over. Love that you're wanting to write a book. So definitely bring that to the table throughout the month or so. Would love to talk with you about that. And yeah, I think Substack's a good platform. One of the interviews within the course is with a guy that I know who's a national political reporter for, I think it's US News. He has a huge Substack that he started way back before it was cool. And so we talk about that a lot. And, you know, I'm always game to talk about email stuff too, if anybody ever wants to. I'm sort of just like, I have way too many interests, basically. So you'll find me everywhere. But thank you, Alicia. Okay, we're going to go to Trisha.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm Trisha, and I live about an hour north of Philadelphia. So, hey, Marina. I was excited to hear you say you're from Philly because that is what everybody would say. But I'm from Philly. And I actually have a degree in elementary education, and I taught full-time elementary school for a bunch of years after I got married and graduated. And then I had kids and chose to stay home with them. And they are now 14 and 16. So that time went really fast. And in between, I needed to start making some money again at some point, right? So about 7 or 8 years ago, I decided to go back part-time as a substitute teacher in the district that I live in where my kids go to school. So I've been doing that on the side for a little while here, but I don't love it. I mean, I love teaching, but there's just a lot of things about school that have changed since I was there full time and things I don't love. And so it's working for now, but it's really not something I want to do forever. And so I started praying a lot about that, like asking God, like, okay, so what's the next thing? Because obviously I need a next thing. And about 2 years ago, he kind of nudged me to join this Christian writing group, this online Christian writing group, because writing was always something I felt like I wanted to do. But again, like a lot of you have said already, like I didn't go to school for writing. I don't have a degree in writing. I'm an elementary school teacher. Like, how in the world would I be writing? So I decided to kind of join that. And that was about 2 years ago. And through that experience, I've learned a lot. And I eventually started a website blog that I write on. And then I won a contest to start writing for a Bible study app called First Five. So I'm going into my second year now of writing full time for First Five. So all those things are wonderful. And I have been, published. I've written some other like guest articles for like online little blogs and things, but none of them are paid. And 2 years in, I'm at this kind of crossroads where if I'm going to keep doing this writing thing, it would be really nice if I could stop substitute teaching and start writing for money.
Right.
So that's where I landed upon Erica on Instagram, and sort of like what Kim said, I was like, okay, maybe I really could do that. Maybe this would really work out. So
Yeah.
my goal for this year is to replace my substitute teacher salary with a writing salary. And I'm hopeful that by the end of the year, I can look back and be like, oh, look at that. I really can do this writing thing. And kind of free myself from the substitute teaching gig and, support my family in that way. So so that's where I'm at. And
Is there anywhere that you have a dream of publishing?
so I actually have much like what Alicia was saying, I would love to write a nonfiction Christian book. I have a proposal already written and a couple chapters started, but it's hairy and sketchy and not ready yet.
Okay.
But that would be wonderful. And I feel like, I feel like that's part of my struggle is I know what I know about, and I know what I like to write, but I don't necessarily know where to go to find the people who would be interested in that.
To find the people that would be interested in your book topic?
Well, or just in anything I write, right? Like if I'm going to
Okay.
write an article or what have you, I've had a lot of, as a mom and things, like we've had a lot of experiences. I actually right now I'm walking through breast cancer treatment.
Oh my goodness.
Because I was diagnosed over the summer, and I have a son who has dealt with depression and anxiety since he was like 4. And so I have like all this information and all these things I feel like are part of my story that I would love to write about and encourage other people with, or, teach other people, or, whatever, and however God would use that. But I just don't know where to go with it, I guess is the right way to say it. So I'm hopeful that this will help me to find those places and have those opportunities. So.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm sorry that you're going through breast cancer treatment. That's a big deal. You left that one out. You didn't lead with that. But that's, you're going through this, but writing, I know writing can be therapeutic for things as well. But just hearing that, I mean, if you saw the webinar, I don't know if you did, but like, I gave a short list of sort of the titles of some personal essays. And it's like, to me, seeing that kind of thing can be really inspiring when we think of our own stories, because obviously you have stories, like you have lessons, you have like information to share with people that are universal to a lot of different people, maybe not everyone, but a target kind of people. And so I think that's one thing we want to work on is like, how do we find the publication that has the target market that you want to write for? And I guarantee you it exists, because there's a publication for everything these days. And so, bring that to the table and like be thinking about that, and questions, anything you have. That's awesome. And I would love to help you get there by the end of the year. Hopefully we can.
Yeah,
I think it's
that'd
really
be great.
possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Now we're getting packed in here, guys. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out who to go to next. Okay. Next I'm going to Tori.
Okay. What were because I was late. to
Oh
the
yeah, you
party.
weren't here.
I was tardy to the party because I live in Las Vegas, so this is right at the beginning of my work day, so I have to sneak away.
Yes, well, I'm glad you snuck away. But okay, the question is just like your name and where you are in your writing journey, and maybe somewhere where you would really like to be published, or whatever else you want to tell us is totally fine.
Okay, so my name is Tori, and in my writing journey, in October, I became signed with an agent. So I was really excited about that. And honestly, I had made that a dream for like 4 years from now. So when it happened,
Wow.
I was really over the moon. We have a book proposal. It's a memoir, and we already know those are hard sells, but she was very confident in that it was a strong enough story to go ahead and pitch. And I haven't heard really much from her since November. So for me, I'm trying to decide, is that normal? Is she ghosting me? Is there like what's the what? But in the meantime, I also want to continue to build my credibility. I want to broaden my reach. I want to extend my experience so that I can include additional bylines. I've been published in Encourage as a guest post, and I write for Grit and Grace on a semi-regular basis. I mean, if you look at their website, I'm considered one of their regular contributors, but honestly, I don't contribute on a very regular basis for them, just because one of my struggles is I have a whole list of topics, all pertaining to mixed race things, which is what I talk about. And sometimes I struggle to know which one do I put on my blog, which I use at Substack as my newsletter, and what is actually something I should develop deeper and pitch for publication.
Oh, I love that. Like, that's definitely something that I think is like a great conversation for like maybe our first call or something next week, or just you and I talking, because I bet you I would have like immediate thoughts if I saw your topics. So I love that so much. And I will say, just to touch on your question about the agent, I would say that's fairly normal. Book agents are working in sort of seasons, and I don't know how much information your agent gave you, but for me, it has always been like, you talk to them and then it's like silence for a while as they're reaching out, or they're waiting for the times that each different publishing house is getting their team together. It's like they do it at certain times of the year. And so I know my agent, it was like, oh my gosh, this last one, it took forever to get anything done. And you feel like you're like waiting. Okay, in the meantime, what do I do? Which is actually something we're going to talk about in the course, because when you write and you pitch and you submit and maybe they accept it, you could have a time period where it's like literally, I've probably said this example, some of you have probably heard this example before, but I got a yes on something to the New York Times, and it was literally one day before the announcement of the COVID lockdowns. And so it was supposed to come out that day, and they're like, oh, we're going to have to push it. It literally took 6 months before it came out. And I was like, the whole 6 months, I was like, oh my gosh, they're just like, they're going to kill it. Like, this isn't fair. I was so upset, like, never mind that the world is melting down from a pandemic. My New York Times article isn't coming out. But I was persistent and kept back. And finally I was like, so you think maybe October would be, and so it happened. But in the meantime, sometimes you just have to like shelf that and be like, okay, I'm moving on to the next thing, whatever it may be. So you're doing that by taking the course and looking forward to doing freelance stuff. So, but definitely bring that kind of stuff to the conversation, because I would love to talk about it. Okay, let's see, Twyla.
Hey, I'll go ahead and unmute. And Tori, I'm in really the same boat. It was November when I was signed, and I have not heard anything at all since the week that I was signed. So I don't know, maybe that is normal. I just wanted to throw that out there too.
Not alone.
Yeah, same experience.
It's nice to see you in person too. We're friends online. It's nice to see you in person.
I know, this is fun. Let's see, a little bit about me. I was an English major the whole way through school. I did English literature for my master's degree, and I taught as a TA And then I really shelved anything having to do with reading or writing for about 10 years. And I just focused on being home with the kids, and I homeschooled for a while. And a few years ago, I just got the stirring to start writing. So I started a blog, and I joined a writing group called Hope Writers. And I know a few of you from that group. I've learned a lot along the way, and just showing up and being consistent. But I'm doing a whole lot of work that's all for free. And I think my husband, especially, he was like, yes, sign up for this course. I was going to tell him all the reasons why we shouldn't invest in this right now. He's like, he's a salesman. And he's like, this is marketing. You need to do this. I was like, okay, all right. It's an easy sell for him, because that's the way his mind is wired. And he's like, if you can start making money with what you're doing instead of just doing it all for free, he would be thrilled about that. So I'm here to learn everything I can, and keeping a whole lot of balls going just with my podcast and my blog and everything else that I do. But I have that lull, for my book proposal, and I don't really have any next steps that I need to be working on for that. So I want to focus on other things in the meantime. So that's why I'm here.
All right, awesome. Is there a byline spot that you're have in mind, a dream publication?
Not really anyone in particular. I've written for
Yeah.
Relevant and Her View from Home. They don't pay anything, but they were still cool to get my foot in the door.
Yeah.
And I haven't really pitched to very many other places. So
Okay.
I think
We're gonna
anything
fix that. We're gonna get you some pitching. Everybody's gonna do some pitching this month, and me too, because I have been so busy with book launch and everything that I haven't been pitching anything. So this is gonna get me like back on track, because like I start feeling like, oh my gosh, I need to pitch like when I haven't. And so this class is going to reinvigorate me to get my pitching game back on, because I've just been so busy with book launch and this course and everything. So that is awesome. And also just to what you would about the book stuff, for anyone that is book minded, I probably will keep talking about book stuff because I just love it. These freelance articles are really important for those books. It's like, whatever nonfiction, well, I don't speak to fiction, so I can't say much about that, but whatever book you're working on, if it's nonfiction, I mean, part of the process is getting those guest articles, getting your name out there, building your platform through guest posting and freelance articles. Like that helps you build name ID within the industry that you want to sell to. Of course, like once you have a book deal, it's like, unfortunately, writing is only like 25% of it. It's like 75% marketing. Which is maybe not what we want to hear, but you're in the right place, because this is the kind of thing that's going to help you market without even thinking of it as marketing. So you're definitely moving in the right direction. Okay, next up, we're going to go to Katie.
Hey guys, I'm Katie Scott, and I write at chasingvibrance.com. It's a blog. I have had it online for a number of years. So I kind of considered myself for a long time more of a blogger than a long form writer. But I have a couple books inside of me, and I would love to get them out. So I'm working on nonfiction. I have a literary agent as well. I'm in talks about a book deal. It's very stressful. It's very nice to hear that there's like large gaps, because I was like, I don't understand this whole.
Okay, everyone's having the same problem. See,
Yeah.
That's why it's good that we all come together.
Large, yeah, and some of it's, yeah. So there's that. And I have wanted to take this course from like the summer, but I just have not had the time and space, I felt like, to give it. And this winter is the perfect time. It's a little bit of downtime for family, and we're not quite as hectic and rushed. So I'm more places. I think that I have that big question everyone else has talked about, because I think, especially because my blog is monetized with advertisements. So it's hard sometimes for me to deliberate or decide like what's worth giving to someone else and what's worth keeping on my site, because I think that's a process where I would love some help, because along with that, like I get paid for my articles. So deciding what to give away is a big piece of that. I think, I mean, like big dream articles, like I would love, like, just because.
Katie, what did you say? You froze up. What did you say?
Oh, I said Focus on the Family is probably like the big magazine that like I remember my parents always getting, and I'm like, oh, that'd be so fun to be published in there. Like that's
That's totally
no.
doable, by the way.
Yeah, like
You can
you're
do
like,
that.
you're like, nobody can do that.
You can definitely do that.
But yeah, just because I write in like a Christian space, and I love, Erica, I love that you are like, I'm everywhere. Like I'm in all these secular publications, because there's so much spiritual, like people are still looking for spiritual truths, even that are constant readers of, you know what I mean, secular
Yeah.
publications.
Yeah.
So I love that there's like a broadening of like ideas and like getting paid for the writing that we do. Because
Yeah.
I've done some publications that, yeah, it's free. But I feel even there with those, I'm like, oh, I'm so hopeful. And I've put so much work into it. And sometimes you get a no for something that's free. And I'm like, I don't understand.
Yeah, that's the real kicker. You're like, but I'm doing it for free and you're still telling me no. Oh, that's happened to me before.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm excited to just broaden my range with this and add hopefully another income stream. And then also have this like kind of in my toolbox for when it comes to like a launch season with a book.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I was going to say, I think people forget that, newspapers, especially newspapers, I think we neglect those sometimes, but they're actually one of your biggest opportunities. They always have a religious section, but they also have all kinds of sections. They got a fashion section. It's like, we think of the New York Times, you think of the New York Times op-ed page. There's so much more to the New York Times. There's so many editors taking pitches at the New York Times. Like there's like dozens. So like if you like the New York Times styles section is what it's called. And I don't know why it's called that, because I don't feel like it's just about fashion, but whatever the styles section is, like there's all kinds of different stuff. There's always like a parenting section, wellness. You think sometimes about, this is one thing I learned, like say you're reading a magazine, like Self magazine, and you see an article that's like 10 ways to increase your metabolism, even those kinds of articles, those top 10s, those are freelance writers. And so those are also things you can be thinking of. I personally haven't written those just because I'm just not interested in that kind of stuff, but those are opportunities. And I know a girl who literally that's like all she would write is like all of these like top 10s for like Self magazine and Cosmo and all this stuff. So I think a lot of people, and this wasn't the case with me, don't even realize where there is opportunity to write some of this stuff in your genre. So awesome, Katie. I'm so glad that you decided to jump in. I think you were the first one, which made me so excited. I was like, when there was like 3 people that joined during the webinar, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yeah, I started the webinar being like, yeah, I'm going to do this.
Well, you've been thinking about it, and it's been like, I haven't run the course since I think October, maybe. So I've been like mentioning it, but not doing it for so long that, okay, awesome. Okay, Mara.
Hi, hopefully it doesn't get too loud. I'm at work and it's lunch and the kitchen is like right over there. So I'm Mara, and I think we're just saying like what our writing situation is,
where you are in your writing
goals.
journey, and like where you might want to be published.
So I'm a writing teacher, so I teach at a high school, which is where I am now, and a guidance counselor. And then I also do online writing courses, like writing craft and like personal narrative are kind of my specialties. But I also am a writer and want to be a writer. So I might be I've worked on a fiction, like a novel, but also then do a lot of like sort of contemplative, personal narrative stuff. And then also write about like questions of calling, of like, well, what was my purpose in life, and how do you figure that out, and like navigating that, and how to like unearth the beauty within our lives. Those are kind of like my big topics. And so I really wanted to do this course because, as others have mentioned, like I want to build credibility, even just to support my business as a writing teacher, that like I teach well, but it will add credibility. It's like, and other people think that I write well, so that would be good. And it'll just help me like sort of pursue my own goals as like, I want to be a writer, and there's some level of outside approval that I want for better or for worse. And of course, like, I think I only write about things that I care about, but I don't have like one single topic by any means. And so I think that's one of my areas of struggle. It's not like, oh, well, this is my niche and this is what I'll do. It's like, well, I could write about 300 different things in different ways for different people. And I just, like, I wanted to be a journalist for a couple of years in college. And then I did a journalism internship and realized how much of that job was figuring out what people wanted to hear about, which was like vomit time for me, like as an Enneagram 4. I don't know if anyone knows that stuff, but I was like, so if you can do it, that gives me hope, because I'm like, well, I don't care what you think.
I have to say about the what people want to hear stuff is interesting, because I used to think of it like, oh, of course, I've read about something that's trending. But what I've found is that you can really take what you want to write about and you can find a way to hook it to something that sort of is trending. But it's not really about that thing. It's like, you could take, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good example, something about Valentine's Day, but then it's your love story, and so everything that's happening, like you have to like stop for a minute and be intentional, like, okay, well, how could my story kind of like weave into this, and then I make it my own thing. And that's really all it is. It's just a matter of sort of getting in the habit of that. So we'll work on that for sure. And also, fun fact, everybody, this course may only exist because of Mara, because she started a little small group in Hope Writers, like, I don't know, was it a year ago?
Literally a year ago.
Yeah, a year ago, about like people that want to build their courses. And I was like, gosh, I've got to do this. And so we had a little small group, and I actually did it.
I have not done it yet. I'm still working on something.
Well, you know what? You got to start somewhere. You got to do what comes next for you. But it really is the thing that pushed me to actually get this thing together. And so now it's better, way better than it was the first time I ran it. But anyways, okay, Mara, I'm so glad that you joined. All right, next up, Elle.
Hi, everyone. And sorry I'm late. I did not think I would even make it here today.
You're not the only one.
I have a meeting at this time, but I was like, oh yes, 30 minutes left. Okay. Well, I think it's an hour, but anyways. So hi, my name is Elle. I don't know if I'm the only one here, but I have not been published anywhere. I have a personal blog, it's Elle Undefined, where I talk about self-exploration, discovery. I talk about human design. I'm really into those type Enneagram. I love all of those types of things. I think understanding ourselves, it impacts so many areas of our lives. So I like to talk about those types of things in my writing and social media in my brand. The dream publication for me is Essence Magazine, because that is a magazine that I grew up with my mom always buying that. It's something that every Black household has at some point on their coffee table. So, and then my mom she recently passed away. So for me now, it's like even more important that I really want to get into that magazine. So that's my goal. So I would say I'm not new to writing, because I've always written for myself, but to have it more in a public eye, that's something that I have no experience with. So I'm excited to be in this course and learn from all of you and just develop more as a writer.
Okay, Elle, so this is how my brain works. I'm like already thinking of an essay for you. So I could just see this like beautiful essay in Essence, like that's like about your mom and like about the magazine being on your table. And, I feel like that's the kind of thing that they would love. You know what I mean? Now you'd want to get in there and like, what are the types of stuff, essays that they publish from outside writers and kind of tailor it to that. But think about that. That's, the kind of thing that is very touching and like beautiful type of essay. So I love that you have that as your goal, and I'm so glad that you joined us.
Thanks for that idea.
I mean, it just sort of, I was just like, her mom, the magazine. Just love that so much. All right. So I've got Victoria. You're not on, or I don't know if you can pop on.
Yes.
Hello.
I'm here.
Okay.
Hi. Well, I started 2 blogs last year. One's culinary memoir blog on Substack, and another one is where I have like 4 columns, almost like a mini magazine, where I'm doing some stuff on, it's like a chick lit, evolved, nirvana kind of enlightenment stuff that I'm doing. So there's some yoga on there. And a lot of stuff about foods. I don't know, that just came up for me, has been a fun hobby lately. So I have some degrees, and I'm finishing up my research PhD in interdisciplinary studies on those topics, and lots of certifications. And I'm working with someone to try and build a thought leadership. And a key component of that is, getting articles out there. And I have published traditionally several books and lots of articles in the past. But I put an article out that I spent a lot of time on a couple months ago, and it didn't get a bite anywhere and hardly any feedback. And so I said, there's definitely, I know my writing has gotten so much better since I used to publish. So there's definitely something wrong in my approach. And I think it's the pitch, and it probably the topics, slanting them the right way.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here. And I guess my list would be Yoga Journal, New York Times, Cosmo, Spirituality and Health, and Ms. Magazine. Those are ones I
like it. I like that list. Okay, cool. I love that. Yeah, it's one of the things that I tell people, and maybe some of you guys have already heard me say this, but it's not so much about how great of a writer you are, although I'm sure that you are all good writers and good writing helps, but it is so much about the pitch. It is so much about how you frame the story. Because you could be, there's some great writers out there, but they would never get their writing published where, in the New York Times or whatever, because it's not the way that it needs to be. And so that is a big part of what we're going to talk about. So I'm really glad that you're here, Victoria. I'm glad you jumped in. Okay, I have one more person on here that says iPhone. So I don't know who you are, but if you haven't said hello, or maybe, are you there, iPhone person? Okay, maybe they are not there anymore. Okay, well, we'll let it go unless they pop back on. I was thinking I feel like, oh wait, are you, oh, never mind. Okay, I was thinking, I feel like we're all so I see you guys talking in the chat, and sorry.
I'm sorry, can you hear me? I apologize. This is Alyssa Blakemore.
Oh, hey, Alyssa, sorry. I was like, I don't know if that person's here or not.
No, this is school pickup time, and I just downloaded Zoom on my phone, and I don't know how to use it very well, so.
Okay, no worries, no worries. Give us your intro.
Sure. Well, I don't quite know exactly what I want to do with this course. I ended up signing up for the America's Future Writing Fellows workshop last summer into fall and finished that. I kind of signed up for it on a whim. I have 2 kids, 2 small kids, and we are a military family. So I don't have, it's a little bit more challenging to be able to find a job and keep a job with any continuity. And I stay at home with our 2 kids. So writing is something I just kind of fell into because it was something I could do during my kids' nap times and after they're in bed. So I've been writing as a contributor for the Daily Caller, which is a national news site. And after finishing the Writing Fellows workshop, I did end up getting an opinion piece published in Newsweek. And Erica was super helpful with trying to figure out how to pitch and get that published, and then follow up with payment and all of that. I love to kind of explore where else I can go with that. I like writing about politics and foreign affairs. But I don't exactly know where I want to go. I think I shared with Erica on the side that we're moving out of the country on military orders this summer, and I am not allowed to work while we're there, just under their country agreement. So I'm hoping that I can use the couple of years that we're stationed there to kind of build a portfolio of writing, and then maybe look at pursuing this a little bit more long-term after we return stateside. So my dream publication to be published in is probably the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, but I feel like that's a long ways off. So
Never know. Okay, Alyssa, thank you so much for sharing. I know Alyssa and I have talked a lot back and forth in the DMs, and I'm so glad that she decided to join. And I think that's the thing about freelance. It's really I mean, I wouldn't say it's necessarily easy, but it's nice that you get to make your own choices, right? And make your own schedule and work when you need to, and you're not sort of underneath someone else's schedule. If you're doing it full time, of course. I know a lot of people are doing it as a side hustle, maybe eventually get out of there and do it full time, which is what I'm doing. So what I was going to say a second ago is I'm loving that you guys are talking in the comments, and I was thinking, like, because this is not on like a comment platform, I'm like, you think I should create like a private, like a temporary group where we can converse on Facebook? I know we're all in a million Facebook groups, so I hate to do that, but like, would that be helpful, you think? Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't get used a lot, that's okay. But I'll just make it. And that way, like, if people want to talk about various things, I know people have different things in common, you're at different places. It could be nice to have at least a place to interact. And so I just didn't want to, add to the Facebook group, so many Facebook groups, but we'll try it. We'll see what happens. And if you want to use it, you can. And that way you can just like message each other and we can all find each other and all of that. And I'd also love it to be a place where we can share, like exactly what you're saying, Alicia. I'd love to be able to see everyone's websites, see all of your social media and stuff. So that would be a really good spot to do that. So I'll set that up today if I can. I think I got everybody. I didn't miss anybody, did I? Okay, so we are missing a few people, but I'm going to send out the recording to them. And then you guys all got the schedule. I'm going to do my very best to send out reminder emails morning of every time we have something. So, but like put it in your calendar if you can, just to try to remember. And then are there any questions before we hop off for today? Anybody have any questions or anything that you're like, oh, I don't know if she's going to cover this, but I'd like to make sure she does, anything like that?
I was just wondering, is there anything that you would recommend that we do before our next session, like that we have sort of prepared or in hand?
Well, I probably should have said that. But I would say, I mean, I feel like week one, there's like a lot of stuff. So I don't expect everyone to like fully get through it if you don't have time, but I would say try to get through week one. As I have been adding materials, I've been realizing that this might in the future need to be a longer course because I started packing so much in that I was like, this is like a lot. So anyway, but you guys know that you have lifetime access, and I kind of moved it out into March a little bit too, and I'll be available throughout March. So try to go by the week if you can, but if you can't, that's totally okay. I think you're going to get, to the point where you can write those pitches by the end of the session at least. And then you'll have all that material for as long as you want it. So that's what I would say. Get through the videos, maybe some of the PDFs if you don't have time to look through those. Maybe those would be secondary, but we've got, let's see, the meeting will be next Wednesday. So we've got, a full week to get through it. And then after that, I've got like the office hours and the brainstorm. And so we'll have a little bit more frequent meeting time. So, but yeah, if you have questions, anything, please email me. If you're having any trouble with the platform, let me know. I know Katie and Alyssa, you were the two that seemed like you weren't getting on Teachable. So let's talk offline if you're not getting the course yet. Otherwise, okay, Mara, you already asked, how many hours would I expect? Okay, for week one, oh my goodness. It could take 3 or 4 hours if you put in the time, to do all the things. But I don't think you have to do all the things in order to come to the meeting and get something out of it next week. So, if you've got extra time, which of course probably nobody does, do it. If not, don't worry about it. These resources aren't going anywhere. And so just do the best you can. And don't not show up if you don't do the work for the week. Just show up. We're going to be talking about all kinds of things, taking questions. It's all going to be helpful. So there's no need to feel bad. It's like, when you're in a book club and you show up and you're like, I didn't read the book. It's like, oh, it's still fun though. So it's kind of like that.
Oh, sorry, Erica. So everyone else may have figured this out, but like, I'm just clarifying in my head. So the way the course is organized is we do the recorded, like all the stuff in Teachable on our own, and then we come for like a supplementary. So we do that stuff kind of on our own, and then each week we should have completed week one, and then we'll come to the next session, and then we'll complete week two.
Yeah. So basically I'll have a little something at the beginning of every group call, whether it's like going through a pitch or something. and, taking any questions about the previous week. And then I won't really be thoroughly going through the lessons though on the call. So that is for you. And then, at least half the call is like just for open Q&A. So whatever you're working on, whatever you have questions about, and that's pretty much how it'll go. And then I've got some open office hours. If anybody wants to come to that, it's not required or anything. And then I think we have a brainstorm session set up for people that want to participate in that, which I really just put that in there for myself because I need some brainstorm time. So hopefully we could all get something out of it. So that's it. So, and my DMs are open. My phone number, I think, no, it's not on the emails. Well, anybody that I'll send you my number, you're welcome to text me at any time. But basically I'm a free for all on, ask me anything all the time. I'm here. If I don't get back to you for some reason, if you send me an email, I don't respond to you within 24 hours, like follow up, because my email inbox is insane and I'm not organized. So I'm never ignoring you. It's just I have 60,000 emails because I don't delete anything. So it's really bad. That's the kind of person I am. So anyways, I'm excited to work with you guys. I'm so glad that so many people were able to show up for the first day, and just like, you got it. We're going to do it. It's going to happen. I'm excited. So I'll see you guys next time.
Erica,
Yes.
I was trying to type it fast enough in the chat, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay. Do you have a preferred contact method? Email, DM? Like, do you have one that
Honestly, DM might be easier. If you
Okay.
do push and publish DM, but I'm checking it all. So I'm addicted to all the things. So, all right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.